All right, so part 3. So now we fast forward to COVID. We were all stuck home together. Talk about a living nightmare when you're with somebody that you walk on eggshells with on a daily basis. So we got through it the best that we could. I, during that period, was, like I said, I was very sick. And losing my hair, they didn't know what was wrong with me. I had every test under the sun. I had muscle biopsies done, a kidney biopsy done. They eventually found out I had autoimmune disease related to the kidneys, all stress related. I had to have a full hysterectomy during that time, which he barely came and saw me in the hospital for that. Then I was released. I came home. I developed blood clots in my lungs, had to be brought back to the hospital, had to stay a couple days. Twice I was readmitted for that issue. And the whole time I'm in the hospital, I'm supposed to be healing and getting better. And all I can think of is my kids are there. My kids are there. Like the stress that I was under, even being in the hospital, trying to get better. All I could think of is my kids are in that house with him. And my daughter would be texting me and calling me and being like, "Mom, when are you coming home?" And I could hear it in her voice. And to hear that as a mom was gut-wrenching. From that point forward, I knew this is my out. I can't do this anymore. My kids can't do this anymore. So with every fiber of my being, I'm going to find a way to get us out of this. Yes, I contributed to that household. Yes, was he the main breadwinner? Absolutely. He paid the mortgage. I paid all the bills, did the food shopping, and everything else. Paid my own credit cards, did all that. He never helped me at all. He made so much more money than I did. Even at my sickest time, when I should have been home, because he could have well afforded that home, I still worked. I still got up and did it every single day because I didn't have a choice. So when I was able to come back and I got back to work, things were, better with me health-wise. I went back to work. I got a second job. And he would question me about that and be like, "Why all of a sudden you want a second job?" And I was like, "Because I want extra money, da da da." I always had a plan in the back of my head. I was documenting dates, times, taking pictures, recording when I could, saving text messages, doing all those things. Believe me, you must document what is going on. Please, 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 if you don't take anything else from these videos, document what is happening, because it is a life-changing event when it comes to divorce or getting a PFA or any of the things. It could save your life. Document, document, document. So I started working a second job, and I was saving in the background, paying down my debt, because I knew that I couldn't, it would be, not that I couldn't do it on my own, because I'm doing it, but it would be very hard. So I did as much as I could in the background for as long as I could. And then, he finally came to me and he was like, because it was always him, "I can't live this way anymore. Let's get a divorce." And I said, "Okay, let's get a divorce." He didn't even believe that I said it, but I was in agreement. We tried to do the divorce on our own, which I should have known would have been a complete disaster, because you can't negotiate or do any of that with a narcissistic person, because they're right, you're wrong, they're entitled, you're not. It went back and forth for almost a year. So I finally got a divorce because he kept going back and forth on what we agreed on. So I got a divorce lawyer, and he was not happy about that. And at the time, we were not sharing a room. I was staying in my son's room. My son was staying in my daughter's room because, he had a bigger bed, da 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 da. So me and my daughter took his room, he took my daughter's room. He would come in there and I would be packing up stuff, and he would just come after me all the time about everything that was supposedly in our agreement. Well, when you have a lawyer, you're supposed to be going through the lawyer. He didn't want to go through the lawyer. He tried to intimidate me time and time and time and time again. And I would contact my lawyer. My lawyer would try to contact him. He didn't want to talk to him because he didn't want to get a lawyer, because he didn't want to have to pay for a lawyer. But it was okay for me too. So things just got worse, and he flipped out on me one day before work. I was cooking my kids' dinner in the kitchen, and I remember this vividly as it happened a second ago. I had grease in a pan on, I was cooking, I think, fried chicken. I don't even know what it was. And he didn't like that I wasn't responding to him. So he came over and he grabbed the hot pan out of my hand and threw it at me. With that, I started screaming for help because my kids were in the back bedroom. I was yelling for them to call 911 because I knew he never hit me. I will say that. He never hit me. It was always verbal and anger and frustration towards objects. He would break mirrors and throw tables and punch walls. But he never did hit me. But I knew that day that if I stayed or he stayed, one of us was going to die. God's honest truth. It would have gotten to that level. So he left. He stormed out. My kids, I believe, got picked up by somebody. They left because I didn't want them in the house because I was on my way to my second job. I left, pulled over, and made a police report that day. I said, I don't want you going to the house and getting him, but I want it documented that this occurred. I told them everything that happened, because before he left the house, his last words to me were, I am going to make your life a living hell for the rest of my life. And I believed him. So, to me, that's a threat. Like, I don't know what that means. You gonna harm me? You gonna harm my kids? What are you gonna do? Because his thought process was always, I'm gonna get what I deserve. Like, he was entitled to everything. He did it with jobs. He did it with everything. If he felt that he got gypped out of pay, he would go to that work site and steal stuff off the work site and then resell it because he was entitled. Sick, right? So I made the police report and said, I don't want them picked up. I just want it documented. And that was part of my documentation. And I continued to do that. So he wasn't budging on the divorce stuff. So after that, my lawyer was like, you need to get a PFA, an order of protection, because something bad is going to happen. It's going to happen to you or your kids. Please go and file for a PFA. So I did. I left work on a day, went to the courthouse. They issued me a 2-week PFA. That day, he was removed from our house. It was the hardest and scariest day of my life because I didn't know the repercussions. But I knew that I had to save me and my kids. So I did it. I got out of the fear and I took back my voice.